Hey there. Hi, Ryan. I'm Melissa.
Hello.
How are y'all? Are y'all at the same spot? Caught.
We are. We're gonna have to move away from each other.
All good.
Echoing.
That's what it sounds like in the morning when we're trying to figure out the morning news. All right. So I'm gonna wait. Oh, Rebecca. Is Rebecca with you? Okay. All right. So we'll wait for Rebecca and then we'll get started. Hey, Rebecca.
Hey there.
I'm hopeful that I sent you the Zoom link, right? I mean, I thought I sent it to all of us. But I'm fully aware that it was probably user error, meaning me. So sorry if I didn't. I'm hopeful that I sent you the Zoom link, right? I mean,
You probably did. Everyone else is.
All right. So Rebecca, it is 6 o'clock.
I'm sure it's me.
It's all good. It's all good. So it's 6 o'clock as our Go Team chair. I'm just going to let you go ahead and
Yeah.
do your thing. I'm going to go ahead and hit record, and I think the live stream is live streaming. I'm gonna hope that
It is.
okay. Oh, is it? Okay, good. Then that means I did. Okay. Hey, we'll take it. I was fully prepared to think that I did not know what I was doing, but maybe I learned last time. Okay. All right, Becca, let you take it away.
Well, welcome everyone. It's great to see y'all. We have a really full agenda, but I'll go ahead and call us to order at 6:01. And we'll move into a roll call. And maybe when we do that roll call, you could just say like a word about your role, since this is the first, I think, meeting where we may have public attendees, although I'm looking right now at the participants and I'm thinking maybe we don't have any members of the public yet. Is that right? They might be watching on live stream though. So
Yeah,
let's go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, they would be watching on live stream,
Yeah.
so they wouldn't necessarily have the Zoom link right now. But
Right.
I do have a slide where they can, if they want a public comment, then I can send them the link, so they can do that.
Great, thanks. Melissa Clark, why don't you start?
I'm present and I am the secretary and the CAP representative.
Great. And Mr. Norwood?
Mr. Norwood present, general member.
Great. Ms. Ree?
Hi, I'm present and I'm the teacher staff member representative.
Wonderful. Ryan Balduga?
I'm present and I'm the vice chair.
And Principal Harness?
Hello, I'm present. I'm Terry Harness. I'm the principal of Virginia-Highland.
I think my Zoom cut out there for a minute, but it looks like you said something, so great.
Sorry, am I having issues? Can you guys hear me? Okay.
I think it was me.
Principal-
Everyone froze on my end, so I think it was me. I'm sorry about that. I'm here, Rebecca Cagle, also present, and I see we have a guest from APS. Welcome. So we have a quorum, so we can go ahead and move into our set of action items. The first is to approve the agenda. So can I get a motion to do that?
I'll move to approve the agenda.
I second that motion.
Great. So a motion from Melissa, a second from Mr. Norwood. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's passed. So we'll then move on to approval of our minutes from our July meeting. Does anyone need a minute to look at the minutes before we take action on this item? Okay. Well, looking for a motion then to approve those.
Motion to approve.
Great.
And Rebecca,
Motion
just so
Yeah.
everyone is clear, all of the documents that we are asking for approval and motion, they're located on the website, virginia-highland-elementary.com, under the Go Team tab. You can see it right here. So here's our school website, homepage. Scroll up at the top under Go Team, and it is all of this information is stored under current year meeting information. You also find meeting norms and public comment information. So just so everyone knows.
Terrific. Thank you for both posting that and reminding folks where to look for that. Do we have I think we need to approve the minutes now. I think we had a motion from Ms. Ree and a second from Melissa Clark. So motion, I'm looking, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay. Now we're moving into our next action item, and I'm wondering, Principal Harness, is there anything that you wanted to share here before we take any action?
You mean like as it relates to the agenda specifically, or what do you mean?
I'm looking at the action item 1, strategic plan performance indicators. I wonder if there was any context or yeah.
Definitely want to go through. Yes, so thank you for that. And
Right.
I just saw that the YouTube is doing something. I'm hoping it's doing it right now. All right, so yeah, I would love to go through some things with everyone. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that everyone understands, these are our meeting norms that we have discussed and that we will abide by. We don't have to read through all of those, but I just wanted to make sure that we know that they exist. If you are watching on live stream, you are welcome to email me at terry.harness@apsk12.org if you would like to comment publicly. And if you also want to see our public comment procedure, again, you can go to our website under Go Team Current School Year Public Comment. So again, feel free to email me so we can make sure that we include you and you can comment and share what you would like to share with us at the end. So the last 20 minutes, Rebecca, correct me if I'm wrong, of our meeting is dedicated to public comment. So, and we want to make sure that we honor that. All right, so here's our agenda. So yes, so I wanted to start out with talking about our strategic plan and a part of what we have to do as a governance board and the importance of the work and what we discuss here with teacher reps, parent reps, community reps, and myself is what is the future and how are we going to plan for the next few years as it relates to what we want to accomplish academically for all of our students through achievement, through growth, et cetera. Like what are the things that we really want our kids to have access to over this time. So the strategic plan is a huge piece of the elementary school puzzle because it does provide us with a vision and a mission in terms of how we move forward. So vision casting, I was going to kind of give you just a little bit of a background in terms of where we have been and what we have done as it relates to just trying to open up a brand new school while also being mindful that we are not, even though we had two schools that came together with Springdale Park families and Morningside families, that we are uniquely Virginia-Highland. We are not the addendum or to Spark or to Morningside. We are our own entity. So when I first realized that I was going to be the principal at VHE, in preparation prior to last year, we did a lot of community outreach conversations with people that we invited to become a part of and just kind of give us an idea of what they wanted to see out of a brand new school, what they loved about their previous schools, and what we could do to kind of bring it all together to form who we are as VHE. So we met with parents, we spoke with PTO, I spoke with students, and then teachers as we were hiring teachers and bringing them on, and then all through last year, we had a better understanding of what it is that we wanted to focus our time and energy and efforts on as it relates to our kids. We also even brought in, I had conversations with central office departments just to see what can they do and what can they provide to support a new school and a new venture. And yes, even though we may not have felt like super brand new in some instances, we were still a new school coming together, trying to figure out who we are, right? So, and then also just looking at data to make more informed decisions. But after having a number of these conversations and having the guidance of one particular department in central office, it was the innovation department. But what I appreciated about what they did was they kind of just helped us kind of focus and hone in on what we want to do well and how we want to continuously improve upon that within our signature program of STEAM in the Midtown cluster. We actually even hired one of the teachers, or second grade teacher, her name is Alex Bosfield. She was a part of the innovation department and she helped lead some of our vision casting work. She was actually the main person that helped with the vision casting. So it's kind of cool that she led that work and now she's with us. And Alex is amazing if you ever, Ms. Bosfield's amazing if you ever get a chance to speak with her. But these were some of the things that we, from the community, from the kids, from the teachers, we were able to kind of pull out and say, this is the direction that we want to head in. Some of the takeaways that we wanted to really focus on was embracing the community itself, right? And the diversity within our community. Our name is Virginia-Highland, but we do not just solely serve the Virginia-Highland neighborhood. We serve Midtown, which is where I have lived for the last 20 years. And I remember way back when I first started at Springdale Park, there was a lot of conversation of families are not going to be moving to the high rises of Midtown. And boy, was that wrong. They are moving to the high rises of Midtown. And And I've got two students that live in the same condominium complex that I still see every single day, and they're currently sixth graders at Howard. And they've been there the entire time from kindergarten to sixth grade. I just saw them this weekend. They were at the pool yelling my name from the pool. I'm on the second floor. But anyway, regardless, they are in the neighborhood and they're coming more and more. Even with the number of new students and new enrollees at VHE, the majority of those new families are in the Midtown area. And I'm going to talk about like our projection and our current enrollment and stuff in just a few moments. Other things that we took away was we wanted to provide students with a robust curriculum that wasn't just taught in isolation, but taught the way that the world, that we see the world, which is connected, integrated. And that is honestly what STEAM is all about. I don't know if you've ever heard how I see in my vision of STEAM is, but I think sometimes the term or the acronym of STEAM is a little misleading, where it just comes across as only science, technology, engineering, arts, math, right? But it's really more than that. I said if there was ever a word that could really encapsulate the importance of what it does, it should be hamsters. And what I mean by hamsters would be thinking about it holistically with all the different letters, right? So the H for the humanities aspect, the reading, the writing, the literacy components. There's just so much that we can really consider within that itself. That is not just solely math, science, technology. So hamster, the A, the arts, M, the math, S, it could be SEL, it could be science, the T for technology, the E for, there's lots and I'm going to lose it in just a minute, but there's just so many different things. STEAM truly is all encompassing of everything that we do. It's not just the math, the sciences, and the technology. It's everything. Moving forward, other takeaways, just incorporating a process for students to think through problems that is consistent across all content, meaning we want kids to understand and have a more real world, realistic, relevant, and rigorous kind of view of what we experience daily, right? But we want them to recognize that there are ways that we can approach problems where step by step through a design thinking process that will help us get to the answers that we need to get to, and or help us get to wrong answers that we will continue to learn from. We also wanted to focus on the smaller class sizes to provide more of the personalized learning, the differentiated instruction, and then meeting kids where they are. And then the one thing that I'm always going to be an advocate of is if we meet them where they are, then that means we need to do our best to grow all kids, whether they are performing on grade level, above grade level, or below grade level, that these things are important to us. So these were some of the takeaways. Now, I'm going to show you a Terry Harness version of what the vision and the mission could be. And I know you guys know me, I'm very verbose and we can make this much easier, but that is not my talent. So you're going to help with that process of the vision and the mission. But this is in essence what we want our vision to be. So our vision is to cultivate an authentic, relevant learning environment through an investigative approach, meaning there's a way, a step-by-step process that we can figure out what the best course of action would be for us, empowering every student to empathize, problem solve, explore, discover, and innovate collaboratively. A lot of that is directly from our design thinking process, our DTP, where we want kids to think through what is something that we need to figure out for not only ourselves, but maybe for others. How do we empathize within that? How do we define what those problems are? And how do we go through each step to get to the best resolution? And even when something may work one year, it might not work the next. So then what's the next step? Well, we've got to go back through the same process. So this is what we would want while we're still embracing all of our rich diversity, empathizing with one another's and our different walks in life, and then coming together to collaborate to make things better overall or to solve a problem. The mission, they're very similar in nature, but the mission would be to nurture and empower our diverse student population while fostering critical thinking, creativity, and a deep understanding of others through STEAM education, which again is that integration component, ensuring that every student feels valued and supported. Mr. Norwood and I were having a conversation earlier this evening and talking about what it means to make sure that every student and every family feels included, and what are the ways in which we can make that happen. It may mean that we have to delve into a different way of reaching out to the masses, but one that might resonate with certain with individuals. For example, I mentioned to him that I don't know if y'all know this, but I was diagnosed ADD at the age of 22. I'm no longer 22. I'm just about 7 years older now, but I still have ADD. What I want to say to all of that is there's something that absolutely constantly can capture my attention when I'm at home, and that's called TikTok. I'm not advocating TikTok, but what I will say is the reason why it captures my attention is that it gives me 2 to 3 minute kind of little vignettes of something, and I can hold my attention for 2 to 3 minutes. So it works beautifully for me. My mother is also a TikTok fanatic, and she says the exact same thing. It's weird, but what could we do if we could use TikTok? And we don't know if we're going to have it in the States or not. Uh-oh. Who's I'm hearing. You guys hear someone else, or is that me?
I can hear you.
All right. Well, how could we use a platform like TikTok to reach our families? So, but those are components that we may have never done, but we need to at least consider what can we do and how could we best utilize that to reach a number of families that might not necessarily open up the VHE neighborhood or a teacher email. And it's not because they don't want to. Let's be real. It's just that's not how they receive information, and we have to be thoughtful about that. So we want to make sure that everyone is valued, supported, and that is inclusive of those families. All right, so those were just certain things. We're going to talk more as we move through this. I needed Diane Jacoby and Chandra Gibson, who's another amazing Go Team person for our district, to remind me that it's okay to kind of go slow. I am very much in the mindset where we just had our first year and I want this done like now. I want our strategic plan done, and I've got a lot of it done, but we need to jointly go through this and have these conversations. And it's okay to go slow and be more intentional about it, so we can get it right the first time. So Diane, and I don't know if Chandra is back there with you or Diane, but please let her know I do appreciate her email, and it was good advice. So I appreciate that. Okay, so as we do go through, I'm going to show you some data, and then I'm going to show you the strategic plan template and some of the things that we are currently working on and things that I think that we want to continue to focus on over the course of years. So keeping in mind what the vision and the vision casting kind of produce in terms of what we want for our kids. Now let's just look at it from a data standpoint, right? So here's our milestones data for reading. This is 3rd through 5th grade overall. And this is how VHE in its very first year fared against all of the other schools within our district. You can see that we did very, very well from an achievement standpoint in reading. Now, we still don't have the math scores yet because the state hasn't provided those to us at this point. But when I look at these reading scores, last year was not the easiest of years. There was a lot that we were learning and trying to figure out as we move forward as a new school. But one thing that I cannot deny is that the teachers did their thing. They did some amazing work with our kids. And again, this is 3rd, 4th, and 5th milestones, but this is indicative of how we did not miss a beat in a very, a first year, which was, in my personal opinion, it was a lot. It was a lot, but we did great, and you can see that we did great compared to other schools with different challenge indexes. And I've talked to this. I mentioned this to our staff. I mentioned it to PTO. But a challenge index means if we take a look at like the number of students who are free and reduced lunch, we take a look at the percentages of students who are in special education with an IEP, or the percentages of students that are ESOL. or the percentages of students to do something real quick because I hear myself talking in a different way. I don't know why. Can you guys still hear me now or no? Okay, you can. Perfect. All right. So, but we did very, very well, and our challenge index is higher, meaning we do have a higher percentage of students that fall into any one subgroup or category than some of the other schools, and we're outperforming those other schools. Mary Lynn, you can see, did exceptionally well. We know that Ms. Bringslet is over at Mary Lynn. She's going to continue to do phenomenal work. They have the lowest challenge index in our entire district. And we were right there just nipping at their heels with a completely different student population. Very proud of the work that we have done at VHE. But if you look at the red, if you look at the yellow, and if you know Terry Harms, 18% of our kids, I still feel we can do better. And I have a tendency to gravitate towards that. And what can we do to continue moving them forward into the green? So just to kind of make sure that everyone is aware, the dark green is the distinguished category. The lighter green is the yellow is the developing, and red is referred to as beginning. We want kids to live in the green and proficient and distinguished. And we want to see our red beginning start moving into developing, moving into proficient. We want to see them gradually move up. And again, this is all of our third, fourth, and fifth grade students as a whole. So let's take a look real quick at our, any questions, y'all good?
Could you size that group just for the folks on this call and folks that might be listening, like a ballpark of third to fifth grade last year?
Okay, say that one more time for me.
Could you tell us the like a rough ballpark for the size of the group of students who are in third through fifth?
Yeah, so so in third grade, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea from last year, we had right at 100 students. In fourth and fifth grade, it was like 80, I want to say like 85 fourth graders. And then we had about close to 60 fifth graders. So pretty decent size. It was a pretty good sample. And to be honest with you, Morningside has, a little larger population than we do. Mary Lynn and Spark were a little smaller. I think Lynn was actually closer to us than what Spark was. They were a little smaller than us. But so taking a look at third grade, you can see where we fell as it relates to achievement overall with the other schools. Have some work to do still, right? 21% are in the beginning in developing area, but still very proud of, the 45% of the students in the distinguished, the top tier categories, and the 34% of our kids in the proficient. So third grade did a really good job. And just to kind of put this out there, we've also increased the number of third grade teachers for this year to bring down class sizes even more. So we would look, and we were hopeful that we will see an even higher increase of students in the green categories. So this is just third grade reading. So still very, very good overall. And letting you know, there are, hey, Diane, do you know about how many schools there are in the district overall?
We have 65 schools with Go teams. So that's all of our traditional and partner schools. And then when you add in the charter schools, I want to say it gets close to 90, and that's not including special programs. So that's not including like Phoenix or Hank Aaron or anything like that. So
so what you're seeing is just what can fit on the screen. There's a lot more schools that would fall below that are there that you just don't see. But wanted to make sure that we point that out. But still very, very proud of what our third graders were doing. We take a look at fourth grade. This is our fourth grade group last year. These are our current fifth graders. These kids are a bright, bright group. And we've known this since kindergarten first. I mean, they've been super, super bright for a very long time. They're highly entertaining too, because they all love each other and they can all be very loud simultaneously. But they're a great group of kids. They did amazing, amazing work. And we even had a few little changes within our fourth grade teacher group last year, but still they did not miss a beat. But we still have work to do. If we take a look at fifth grade, here we are with fifth grade. Again, fifth grade, I think we did very, very well overall, but I still see, just like when we shared with our fifth grade teachers when they saw this. Their first thought was, "Oh man, we should have done better." And that is true. I feel like we can do better, but now it's a matter of we see the data, we know what worked well, but now we've got to make sure that the subgroups or certain students that we are meeting them where they are and truly giving them what it is that they need, so we can continue to push them up. I am proud to see that 15%, that it's a much lower percentage in the beginning in the developing areas, which is a good thing. But I'm Terry Arnest will never be satisfied until we see everyone in green. It's just the truth. But still, very good stuff overall. And this is when we look at the achievement, this is what good tier one instruction is, meaning our teachers know the content. Our teachers are participating in collaborating with one another. This is not done in isolation and in silos. They have the support of instructional coaches like Miss Ree, or like Miss Correa, Miss Madeline, Miss Brett. They are doing the work. They're putting in the time and effort. And I promise you, when I say we have a very high level of expectations, our teachers have some crazy high expectations. And although they were happy, we always want to continue to push the envelope a little bit more. Now, we're going to take a look at the growth. You just saw the achievement scores. Now, you're going to take a look at how are we faring compared to other schools as it relates to growth overall. Now, growth, it's going to be measured a little differently. What you'll see is that in the red, that's considered low growth, all right? In the green, it's typical growth, meaning that's what you would see typically from students and how much they may grow from one time period to another. And then the green, or the darker green, is high growth overall. We want our kids to be in the typical and the high growth area. Do we have some work to do to make sure that every kid is growing if we want to get them all in green? Well, of course we do. We have 24% of our kids fell in the lower growth percentile, while the rest, 76%, were in the typical to high growth, which is great. But I continue to look back at the lower growth. Does that mean that kids that fell in this red, that they didn't grow at all? No, they may have grown. They just didn't grow at a rate that was equivalent, similar to other peers, perhaps. But so that means we've got to make sure that we're looking to see how are we going to reach them? What do we need to do to continue to raise the expectations for them in terms of growth? Now, this is third through fifth overall. Still top 10 of the schools, which we're very, very happy and proud of. Very proud of Springdale. Brandon has an incredibly similar challenge index to us. And you know what they did? They outperformed us in growth. So, kudos to Brandon. Bolton Elementary has a much higher challenge index to us. And the principal, Siobhan Mincy, who I think she's incredible, and she loves to talk and share. Kudos to her, but they did some incredible things over at Bolton as far as the growth is concerned. I'm very proud of what we've done. It can be more difficult when you are a high achieving school to grow kids. It's not impossible. Now, I want to make sure that I say that it is not impossible, but it can be more difficult, because what it does mean is that even though a child might be in third grade, they may be working on fourth grade standards, fifth grade standards, but then our teachers also have to get to a place where they are comfortable with fourth and fifth grade standards if they've not taught it. So it can be a little bit more as it relates to making sure that our teachers are aware. And that's what I mean by more difficult, but it's not impossible, because we've had teachers who have done some amazing things in terms of growth with our kids. We'll take a look really quickly at the growth for the different grade levels in reading overall. Now, you see here, fifth grade, we've got some work to do, where 26% of the kids, again, they were in the lower growth categories, but then there's 74% that are in the typical to high. You see some of these other schools like Barack and Michelle Obama, Bamo, Beach, or Bolton, they had 100% of their kids growing, right? And in their fifth grade, and that is phenomenal. I want to see that. I want that, right? And those principals should be incredibly proud of what it is that they've done. I mean, you can't deny that they are doing the work. you might not see the achievement, right? It might not translate to higher achievement yet, but what I will say is that if you don't have growth, then you will not see higher achievement. So they are working and they're doing things. So I really, I would personally would love to see Atlanta Public Schools really focus and give the flowers to the schools that are pushing the importance of growth, because it's important and it's a bigger piece of when they come to me on day one. Are they better off and they know more and they've grown more on day 180 because I was their teacher? And that's what you see here. And I think that this is some great stuff. So again, very proud and happy for these schools and their principals. Fifth grade, you can see where we kind of fell. Still doing pretty well overall. Happy with what I see, but again, I see opportunities for more growth, right? And we're going to consistently push that. And my teachers know that we will have these conversations. At VHE, we own all the children. We own them all, not just the ones that are in our class, right? But also the ones of my neighbor in a fourth grade classroom. Because if I'm not sharing what's working well for my kids with other teachers, then I'm not a part of the solution. And I'm not a part of making sure that everyone is growing. So POCs and collaboration is obviously very, very important. Now, and you're only seeing fourth and fifth grade because this was the first time that third graders, right, had taken milestones. So that's why you can only see those two different grade levels, fourth and fifth. All right, so with the continuous improvement plan, now I have something here, but I'm gonna have to pull it up. So I wanted to share really quickly, if you give me a second, I'm gonna try my best to talk to him like I know where. I gotta find it. I think I closed out of it a minute ago. I want to show you just some components of our improvement plan, our continuous improvement plan. The continuous improvement plan is something that every school has to do, and it's 100% tied to our data. So give me a thumbs up. Can you see that? Okay. So it's a lot. I'm not expecting us to go through all of this, but I just want you to know what we do when we are looking and analyzing school data. We look at everything. We break it down from reading, science, math. We look at the different grade levels. We look at the different subgroups. And then we look to see, well, what are areas that we can focus on and improve on, and what do we really need to pay attention to, right? So we go through all of the strengths. We go through what we see as challenges. I will say there are some schools who will look at our challenges and be like, Terry, those are not challenges, but they are challenges for us. So Diane is here. She's eating dinner. Okay. Enjoy your dinner, Diane. I know you're there. But we're looking through all of these things because these are things that we don't want to lose sight of. And it's important for us to just constantly be aware of what is going on in our schools. So when we're looking through this, we're going to make sure that we know which students are hitting the typical to high growth and which students are not. But that's why we do this. So we make sure that everything is aligned for the board goals. So if their goals are centered around literacy, numeracy, post-graduation for high school graduates, right, or college and career readiness, then we want to make sure that we are in alignment with them, because we want to support the board goals the same way that we know that the board will support our goals. So that is something that we look into. So these are some of the SMART goals that we are working on and we see a need for within Virginia-Highland. So, and it kind of all goes down here, this one specifically. We want to increase the number of academic year students, any third, fourth, or fifth grade student scoring in proficient or above on Georgia milestones from 82%, which is very high achieving, and we want to increase it by 5 percentage points to 87%. We've got to set high expectations, and I think we can do that. But that is what our goal. We want to see 87% of our kids, third, fourth, and fifth, all of them, in the green. And it is achievable, but we have to do things to get there. Now, we've got the goal that we're ready to see once math is out there, but it's not there just yet. But what we can look at also is just looking at how kids did on math, right? And you guys know what the math is. The kids take it 3 times a year. Some of them just took reading the past 2 days. Tomorrow they're taking math. That's all of our kiddos. And we're going to look at those at the map data and kind of start making our goals, at least in math, until we have the actual results and scores for milestones, but we would add that in there. I will say one thing that we noticed when we compared map and milestones was our kids were not performing as well on map. They weren't. Map, well, just kind of like watching the kids test today. Some of the, like I was with first grade classes because you have to help them sign in. They take a lot more time to kind of get ready and moving with these types of assessments. But then kind of just looking at the map assessment, some of the questions that have been asked, they're really hard questions, like super, super hard questions. And you can see that our kids are productively struggling through it in many, many ways. But they're hard. And so we weren't doing as well on math, but we completely outperformed in milestones and in reading. We were kind of like, wow, because map is supposed to be an indicator, and it does indicate how we're doing. But we did far better than what map was suggesting, which I was very, very happy about. And we still got to figure out, like, why is that? Some schools did the opposite. They did really well on map, but they didn't do as well on milestones. And I don't know. I'm curious to know what some of the principals might think about that, how they may see it. But anyway, we're going to continue to work on our numeracy goals. And then, of course, we've got whole child and intervention goals. We want all of our families, up to 90% of them, joining our PTO. And not only that, but we want them to participate and read and be, know what's happening, because there's always a lot of things that are happening in an elementary school. I also want to pay specific attention to the desire that your principal has, where I want our children to be in school. I really want them here. Now, I'm not saying send them when they're sick, but what I am saying when they're not sick is they need to be here, up, ready to go, because our teachers are ready to go, and we want our kids to meet us in that same way. But there are some things that really will impact what we are able to do with kids. And for anyone that's watching in the live stream, I'm going to challenge you to say this. If your kid is not where you want them to be, I want you to ask yourself, am I doing all the things that I need to do first and foremost, like getting my kid to school on time every day? Because if you're, let's say, just late 15 minutes, right? You get here at 8 o'clock, your kids have missed social emotional learning or community gathering, and that is our check and connect, where we get to see how kids are feeling, like what's going on. Did you sleep well last night? It's a big opportunity for our kids to connect. And if our kids connect well with their teacher, they will learn more from their teacher. So that does impact them. If you get here at 8:30, then you've missed a part of writing, or you've missed phonics instruction, the basic building blocks of reading, right? So if your kid is not performing on grade level and you're getting here at 8:30, my question is, what are they missing in that time? That's 40 minutes or 45 minutes of instruction. So that means parents would be contributing to where they are performing academically in terms of their instruction and what they are getting from their teachers. Our teachers are here. They want to teach. I promise you, they want your children there 7:45 to 2:15. Or however long they'll be with the teacher. They want them there the entire time. They really do. But then we also have some families where sometimes kids are coming in at 9, 9:15, 9:30. They have lost pretty much their entire phonics and reading block or writing block. And some parents will look and say, well, I don't understand why they're not doing better. Really? You do understand. But we can only do what we can with the time that we have. But we want to use every minute of that time. So help us get the kids here. Put them on the bus. It helps, and they'll get you there, I promise. But we want them here on time each and every day. So we want our kids to be in school, and we want them to have at least all of our kids, 94% of all of our students, with 6 or fewer absences. That's what we want. And it can happen. And we do a really good job. It was about 90% of all of our kids had 6 or fewer absences this school year. Okay. So it definitely was down from what I was accustomed to perhaps at Springdale Park, but I do believe it is something that is still attainable overall. So Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, did anybody ask you for the Zoom link for public comment?
Let me see. That's a very good question. Nope, not yet.
Okay.
Yep.
We're at the time window when we would have those join
Oh,
in.
see, I mean, long-winded principle, sorry. And we still got to go through. I can talk about this and do all day. Okay, let me try to speed things up. And forgive my large font. It's I'm old and I can't see as well. So in addition to our SIP, our continuous improvement plan, we break everything down into, so what are the strategies that we're going to use to make this happen? So if we're talking about literacy, well, we want to assess them using Flyleaf to say have a better understanding of where they are phonetically or phonemic awareness wise or phonics wise. We also want to continue with our F&P and assessing their comprehension and their fluency. Are we going to be using our right score lessons, and what resources are we going to pull from? So how do we use our phonics lab on a continuous basis? Like, there's a lot that goes down into it, and our coaches help develop all of these things, and we make sure that we are implementing these things with fidelity. We even consider what are different action steps that we need to take for our subgroups. So there's a lot. Just kind of, we're not going through all of this, but these are things that are important to me because it does help us plan. And even from a family standpoint, family engagement, one of our things that we're going to roll out this year is what we will call Parent Academy, where we will teach parents how to help us teach your children. Because if you're anything like me, I didn't learn math the way that our kids are learning math, right? Has anyone experienced that yet? Yeah, and I'm sure you, Rebecca, when you saw that they're not doing things the way that we did it, you're like, what is this? And why are they doing this way? And then it's every parent's desire to show them the way that they know how, which then can potentially confuse them because now they've learned two ways, and we like multiple strategies. But there is a difference in terms of how we teach math because we want to teach them number sense and why the math is mathing instead of just saying, okay, this is the answer. And that is kind of what, Rebecca, I think you're 15 years younger than I am, but I learned it differently, and the goal was always just to find the right answer. And I don't remember many teachers that were making me, well, I do remember lots of teachers that were making me show my work, but I didn't know necessarily why I was showing it, what it was showing. But we have kids who have a better understanding because they can conceptualize it. They use manipulatives to actually make it feel real, and they can explain it in a way that I would never have been able to do as a child. So it's just different, but we're going to teach families some of these concepts because we want them to feel like they are in the know. And my brother texts me every time the twins, first grade twins, they have some new concept. He's like, why is the teacher showing him this way? I don't understand. And I'm like, I call him, I'm like, just go with what they're trying. Don't try to get fancy or show them something else. Don't do that. But it's a real thing. So we're even taking a look at the family engagement piece of things. All right, so let me move through. I don't know why wasn't popping up there. Oh goodness, I hope there's more. Okay, there's more. All right. All of that to say, there's a lot. There's a lot. We can look through our I want to make sure that I haven't missed it. I'm looking for the strategic plan piece there. Okay, so it is not popping up for some reason. Let me find this other one because I got to just at least put it on the screen so you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, yeah, here it is. So all that to say, what are we going to do with our strategic plan and the way that we're going to move forward? So typically this is the template for the plan itself. The mission and the vision is up at the top. And if we take a look at the goals across the top, these are things that we don't do in just any one year. We do over the course of a number of years. So one of the goals in looking at and thinking, we're in brand new school with lots of teachers who came from two different schools and from other places. We want to make sure that what the teachers know from Spark, Morningside, or wherever they may have come from, that we are cohesive as one unit in terms of our knowledge and what we're trying to accomplish. So our goal is to continue to increase the level of cohesion in our instructional approaches and our curriculum. horizontally and vertically, meaning I want everyone on the same team to have a similar scope and sequence, but however the teachers choose to teach it, because that would be their teacher's superpower. Not everyone teaches the same. We want to give them that autonomy, but it's got to be along the same lines of scope and sequence and the standards that we are learning. But we've got to make sure that it's cohesive. That's one thing. The SMART goal number 2 is increasing the overall attendance rate, right? That has got to be a big deal for us because we want to make sure that our baseline data of that 90%, that we're looking to increase that for every student in our building. Another huge component is that when we do recognize that there are students with certain needs, then we've got to address those specific needs. And that is what our MTSS, multi-tiered system of supports, would do, that we are providing them with the correct intervention that they need in order to continue to move forward and work towards grade level readiness or mastery. So that is something that we're doing, and that's why we're using a new program as it relates to phonics with Flyleaf and really digging down in terms of what is any specific child missing from a phonics standpoint that is possibly causing them to kind of just pause and or lag behind some of their peers. And that's what Flyleaf is going to help us do. And I was doing some assessments with some first graders today. It was actually really cool. And it's really cool to see them thinking through and actually sounding out words and not just thinking about it from a fluency standpoint or comprehension. We just want them to practice the sounding out so we can build better readers and also better writers. And then last but not least, just increasing the overall family engagement. We are a very engaged group of families overall, sometimes a little too much perhaps, but with that being said, we do want more engagement from our Midtown community. We want more engagement with our ESOL families, right? We want to give them those opportunities to feel that they are part, even if the language might be a barrier. We need to do what we can to remove those barriers. So based off of those 4 goals, what our charge as a GO team would be is in each one of these buckets. So academic excellence, building a culture of support, equipping and empowering leaders, creating a system of school support. We have to figure out what are some strategic priorities that we would place in those buckets and what we want to accomplish. And then the school strategies will show what are the things we're going to do to achieve those strategic priorities that will pretty much just infiltrate any one of our SMART goals. So this is what we are going to be talking through. So like our next GO team meeting, we're going to look at our strategic priorities, and I will give some other examples. There's a lot to do, but I want your help and your thought partnership to kind of go through these things jointly, because you are the ones that are going to help guide this work and what our strategic plan will be for the years to come. And it will start with you all and obviously with myself. So that is where we're going to go, but we're going to take it and chunk it. I was prepared to just show you all my thoughts. I'm just going to flash it up there on the screen, but don't panic yet. Okay, there's lots there I'd already done. Don't look at that. We're going to go through these things together. So there's, I just want to make sure that we are being thoughtful about it, but I kind of got a little overzealous and just kept going. Anyway, all right, so let me show you the data. Can I sit down and go to projection and data? I know that we've got 20 minutes, Rebecca. Do I have your permission to just keep going?
Yeah, I think we should go on, but before we do, is there, just want to make sure everyone on the phone's clear. We went through all of that as sort of a baseline to sort of tee up the work we'll be doing over the next couple of months. And there's not any immediate action step necessary for anyone on this call, but there might be before our October meeting.
Yes, perhaps. And we could also consider doing some working sessions where we can kind of get together. But we'll make sure that is all shared with the public, that if we go that route, that we're going to do it.
Great.
All right. So let's talk about leveling, because this is what I know parents are going to tune in for, and they're going to probably come to the coffee talk tomorrow to hear me talk about leveling impacts. We were projected to have 559 students, which is wonderful. We currently have 626 enrolled minus pre-K. The district does remove pre-K because it's a separate entity, but we really have 646 students when we add pre-K. We're just wanting to make sure that that part is understood. We have 646 children in our building. Actually, there were two that enrolled today, so it's actually 648. And they're still coming, and I'm still expecting that after Labor Day, we will even probably see more. That is typically where we see another little uptick. This is far more children than expected, just the truth. Now, from a budgeting standpoint, $5,300 per student. For every student that we have in the building, our budget is based off of this amount per student. So if 5,334 is what we get per student, and if we are over our projection, then we will be receiving either in, like monetarily, 357,000 additional dollars, or we will receive that in by an actual teacher, where if we're over projected, there may be some schools that are under projected, and we may receive a teacher from another school. Typically or traditionally within our district, they try to keep teachers who are being leveled or removed from one school within the same cluster, but there's never a guarantee that that is the case. So again, we will receive this money or these teachers in one of the two ways: either the money added to the budget or the teacher is provided. But that's a good chunk of change, and rarely, I've never seen that kind of money from leveling. I've never had almost 70 kids over projection like this. My very first year at Springdale Park, we might have been like 30, and then every year it was like another 30, 35, something like that. It just constantly grew. But this grew twice the amount that what I'm accustomed to. So the question is, well, what should we do with that? I mean, I can't just go to Bermuda, but we got to figure out what are we going to do with these funds to better support our school. So what grade levels are impacted the most is one of the questions that I'll ask. And then, are there student supports that are impacted? Meaning, do we have more students now with IEPs, special ed, ESOL, EIP, or do we have more gifted students? Because that can take on a different level of thought. And how does it reflect within specials? Because we don't want our art teacher with 50 kids in a class at any given point, right? We got to be thoughtful about that, because we want them to have a great experience as well. And 50 kids is a lot of art happening with children in one fell swoop. So we have to think about those things. So here's like the breakdown of what we have right now. I've got it enrolled, and then on the very far side, projected. We were projected to have 108 kindergartners. We have 114. So that's a +6. Right now, the ratio, adult to student ratio, 2 to 22, 23 kids per class. I personally believe that we're okay right now with kindergarten. I feel like we're okay with kindergarten. We've got an incredibly strong kindergarten team, and they're good. They're good. But still, two adults to 22, 23. In a perfect world, I would love to have every class below 20. First grade, we were projected to have 97 first graders, but we have 115. That's a +18. That was the first thing that stuck out in my mind. So +18 is already, in essence, a class, right? So I've only got 5 first grade teachers. I am going to be thinking about adding a 6th first grade teacher, because right now the class sizes are 1 to 23. We have one class that's 24 kids in a class, and you can see it. Our classes are, square footage wise, they're small. They are, or at least I think so. But Mr. Norwood, are they small? Yes.
Yes.
That part. So yeah, it would make sense for us to try to reduce some of the class sizes. That would be one of the grade levels we would consider. +9 in second grade, +10 in third grade. Look at the class sizes. We had already built up our teachers in second and third grade based on what we wanted to have accomplished, based in the data. So they're still holding on strong, and they still have some really great class sizes. They're rocking and rolling. Fourth and fifth grade, I would have never guessed that we would have had this level of increase with fourth graders, or this level of increase with fifth graders. You just don't typically see that happen. You see them in the earlier grades. You don't typically see it in the older grades. But 1 to 23 across the board, it looks like three grade levels are mostly impacted. First grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade, even though every grade level is impacted. All right, so you see the thought. What are some of the initial thoughts I shared with you? All right, well, it looks like I'm going to have to add homeroom to first grade because we've got plus 18 kids. If I do that, then that brings the class size for first grade to 1 to 19. That's pretty good stuff. I'll take it. It looks like I'm going to have to add a teacher probably to fourth grade and a teacher to fifth grade. And if I do that, then what does that mean? Is that one fourth grade teacher teaching everything? Math, science, reading, writing, social studies, everything? That's hard. That's really difficult to do, and it will not give that one teacher lots of time to collaborate with their colleagues on the same grade level because they have to spend their time across all content. And do I have to do that in both fourth and fifth, or should I consider hiring one person or hopefully hiring somebody or having someone that is very math science focused and then the other person very reading, writing, social studies focused, and then have them pair like a team, but they're responsible for fourth and fifth, meaning I might have fourth math and science in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I would have fifth math and science in the afternoon, while my paired teacher has humanities for fourth grade or fifth grade in the morning, and then fourth grade humanities in the afternoon. We've done that before. It can work and it can be successful, but still having a teacher having to learn two different grade level sets of standards, that's a lot. Or do we even consider having teachers that are supporting fourth and fifth grade from a different lens where they either are pushing in to provide support or pulling students out to provide a support by making math and reading classes smaller overall. And that might be something that is not as impactful because once we start figuring this piece out, we have to identify the kids. And then that's when our families are going to be like, please don't choose I want my child with this teacher. I love this teacher already. And then that's where I'm going to have to say, well, we got to figure those things out. And in essence, the way that we do that is all the kids' names minus the students who have IEPs and special education, because we've got to provide those supports, or ESOL. We've got to provide those supports. They would be remained harmless in terms of they would not move from their teacher. But any other student could potentially be placed in a new classroom or will be supported by a new teacher. That is it's a catch-22. I'm glad that we've got the extra funds to support kids, but also there's something that we're going to have to give up in order to do it. And it might be the teacher that they currently have. They may get changed. It's happened before. Miss Reed, did this not happen to your kid?
Yes, it did. It happened. My youngest is in 8th grade now, and he was in kindergarten. His first year at Spark, it did happen, and I think it was September on the same time as now, and he was moved into a new classroom. It was random, and I think that as you talk to parents tomorrow, it's really important to say that your children will react the way you react. We don't want kids to be anxious, and we really do have a phenomenal staff. I'm in that first grade hallway every day, and really, you just can't go wrong. And kids, they will rise. They know all the teachers in the hallway, and everyone takes care of each other. So it was a really positive experience, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but it was definitely a change. And Reed, just like any mom or dad, you probably were not. You're like, what? My child was picked, right? And
initially, sure, yeah.
That is the initial reaction. I will say, as a result, my experiences, we've had some amazing teachers that have joined us as a result of this. I always think back of one of the first people, Macy Howard. I don't know if you guys know Macy, but incredible teacher. Jamie Nasikoff Buxman. She was a teacher that was at Hope Hill and was leveled to Springdale Park, and she's here, and she's honestly a phonics guru, a whisperer. It's amazing what she accomplishes with kids. But we've had incredible opportunities with people that have joined us during leveling, and we've made it work. And our grade level, what I can say is our teachers, they will embrace everyone and they'll make sure that all of our kids are taken care of, because we're not just responsible for the ones in our homeroom. We're responsible for all of our kids. And that is the mentality that we will continue to make sure that people understand that is how we have to move forward, right? But that is how that would work. So other things, taking a look and thinking, well, do we have any major increases as it relates to special education? The answer is we've added 2 students out of all of the almost 70 that have an IEP. So there's no major shifts in special education. Okay, we'll take that. We actually dropped in ESOL. It was 17 last year. What? Wait a minute, 17 versus 20. Yeah, it was 20 last year. We have 17 ESOL students this year. So strangely enough, that did drop. We're in the throes right now of MAP testing. So EIP, we got to wait until we get those results. Gifted, we're at 134 total students that are in our gifted student population. Class sizes for gifted are capped at 22, right? So for 5th grade, if I get 5 more 5th graders that are part of the gifted program, then I have to consider another gifted teacher. We have 2 right now, but I might need 1 more to teach a 5th grade group for a full day. And that's what we would call a 0.2, meaning that person will only work on that 1 day and they're getting paid 0.2 of a traditional full-time salary. Specials, do I have any specials classes that are larger than others? And what does it mean if I'm adding a 6th homeroom for 1st grade? Does that mean we're on a 6-day rotation for art, math, or art, PE, music? Or do we just keep the kids in the homeroom specials rotation that they're currently in, where they can still connect with, the kids that are already in their class? Brian, you got a question? I see your inquisitive look.
I do. That 350,000, how many teachers does that afford us?
It affords us 20 teachers, I wish. No, honestly, it's about 3 teachers total. So yeah, it's about 3 teachers overall, and it leaves a little bit of extra funding for us to consider. Well, do we need additional para support somewhere, or do we need to go ahead and get that additional 1-day gifted teacher? So we've got a little wiggle room to think about some other things, but about 3 teachers total. So we would say, but there's a lot that we have to think about. So again, no major changes in SPED or ESOL. Increased number of gifted may add an additional teacher, but only teaching with us 1 day a week. And then specials classes, in our PE class, if we continue to try to keep our homerooms as is, then we are very close to have it being over the amount of students that we are supposed to have in PE at any given time with just 1 adult, right? I don't know what that number is, but I know that we are close. And in one class, we're kind of over, where we're having to grab a para and say, we need you during this 1 block of time to support Coach Davis. He's great, by the way. He's like, I'm good, Mr. Artis, we got it, but just to be in compliance legally, we always are going to do what we're supposed to do. But it would be nice perhaps to purchase to add a person in that spot. So it's a lot to consider, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts? It's a lot to process. Rebecca?
Oh, I was just looking at the time. So I'm glad we went to reactions. Yeah, I would love for others to jump in there.
Melissa, I don't know if either one of the girls, did they go through leveling or did they experience any of that?
Yeah, Laura did in kindergarten. That was 2 years before you were at Spark, I guess, but we bumped that year. So, and she had a great year. It was nerve-wracking, but it was all fine.
Yeah, and Rebecca, is this the first time that you've heard of like these types of things potentially, or are you? What do you think, Rebecca? I'm curious.
No, I'm familiar with the approach and process. I think the class sizes, like a reaction I have is the class sizes are big relative to, I know what you want them to be and the grades you called out. And I could see a world where if you had a team you felt was really capable, there could be a world where you're better off keeping the class sizes big if you're not that confident in whomever the new person is, that, if you feel less clear on like your talent base that you might be drawing from. So I'm just offering that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're spot on. We could have someone that is a first year teacher teaching currently first grade. Well, if it's a first year teacher, I get that. We might want to consider placing that person in first grade, or we might have a better fit for that individual somewhere else, right? We don't have to just, if we were to receive someone from a different school, we can still be flexible and thoughtful about what makes the most sense, right? And because we do have some pretty amazing teachers that would be willing to jump into spots as needed. But being thoughtful, I also want to make sure that we're not impacting a huge number of students because our kids, we just started the year. This was day, 16, I think. And they are already making connections and they want to be in the class that they're in and with the teacher that they are in. It can be, to Miss Ree's point, they will give us what their parents give them. So if the parents are like, oh, it's going to be great, it's going to be fine, the kids will be that way. But if the parents are like, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible, the kids are going to be like, oh my gosh, this is going to be terrible. So yeah, there's lots of things. Ryan, what about you? Kate has not experienced that, but what are your thoughts?
So I was, Will was in the second grade at Spark where we had the big class sizes, but didn't get a great teacher candidate. So kind of to Rebecca's point, that's my understanding of it is that, we posted it and we're looking for another second grade teacher and didn't get great candidates. So you just kept what we had.
Yeah, so now that you mentioned that, that's interesting. Well, and what I'm not going to do is if we're given the money, right, to support another teacher, we're going to do our give our full diligence to make sure that we bring someone in that we know are going to do the right things and that are going to be a good fit. I'm not just going to hire someone just to hire them. So yeah, in that situation, Rebecca, kind of like what you mentioned, I would rather stick with the larger class size and the teachers that we know than put someone in there that I'm not vibing with and that I would want to bring on either. Right. So yeah, I will be very thoughtful about it. I mean, I am certainly not new to this. I think out of the 7, 8 years at Spark, maybe 4 or 5 we were increased numbers and we leveled. We had to bring additional teachers on board. I've never been in the situation where we've been under projected. That one would be completely new to me. But yeah, so we'll be thoughtful, but there's a lot. So tomorrow's a coffee talk from 8 to 9. It is on Zoom. I fully expect parents to be questioning, and especially once they hear this, they're definitely going to want to know more. I will be sending out a letter kind of explaining that as well. And if we do add a first grade teacher or fourth or fifth grade teacher, the first order of business is to explain it. The second would be to take parent volunteers. If there's any volunteers that would like to do that, not had a lot of luck with that in the past. No one just volunteers to change, which is fine. But then that goes into like the lottery system where we literally would have to pick students randomly. We would record that, or I might even do a live stream now that I know how to do it, where we would put every name in so everyone can see that it was super equitable, and that we're doing everything that we can to make it as fair for everyone as possible. Because the last thing I ever want would be for someone to think that because you donated a certain amount of money that you automatically get to stay. Well, and that has, Rebecca, I've seen your face, but believe it or not, I had a parent once who outright said to me, well, I donated this amount of money and I expect my child to still be in that class. And I said, well, we are appreciative of that donation and we will use it, but I can't guarantee that your child will be in that class. Their name was not picked. So they lucked out, I suppose, in that respect. But if they hadn't, we would have put them in the new class. And that's how that has to work. So yeah, not the most fun things. Yes, ma'am.
Can I just say one little thing before you go tomorrow? And just to Rebecca and the parents on here, just think about as a teacher, I've had classes where I had 33. I had classes when I was 28, 25. At Spark, I had those numbers as well. And the difference between 18 to even 24 is really big when you're in there by yourself. And so, it doesn't seem like it would be that big of a deal. And obviously we do want really wonderful candidates, but I feel like, again, 17, 18 versus even 23, you can really make better relationships with those smaller classrooms, the sizes. So of course, one more time, like candidates, super important. We want, amazing teachers. But I think that when you have a smaller number, you really can just reach these children on such a different level. So I'm really looking forward to having some smaller class sizes.
What's interesting, reason I'm sharing is we came from middle school. So middle schools traditionally have much larger class sizes. So I remember, maybe your first year, my second year at Spark, I had said, well, I really want to bring these class sizes lower. And you're like, really? But they're fine. Because coming from middle school, her 23, 24, 25 kids was like pretty small. But then when she got the 18, 19, she was like, oh, wow, yeah, this is awesome. This is a complete game changer. And it is, because you can build relationships faster and you can give them more individualized attention. And that would be our goal. And I've had success. We will continue to have success thinking about that way. But yeah, like I said, now you have all the information. There's some things that are coming around. So let's see. I know that we're short on time. No one has emailed for public comment, Rebecca, so I think right now we're still good. But just to go ahead and make sure that I mention it, PTO fundraising. So tomorrow night is PTO back to school night. Great opportunity to get to know your child's teacher, learn about the curriculum, and then also learn about all the different ways that our PTO truthfully supports our school. Their support, I cannot be thankful enough. So come learn to show, just to see how PTO supports us in everything that we do as we provide for our students and our teachers to give them what it is they need to be successful. So, so you're going to learn a little bit about that. I also just wanted to kind of briefly mention Everybody's Playground, just so everyone understands. Everybody's Playground is our huge playground initiative for our outdoor campus area, right? But this is something that will be done in phases. There is no way that we can just listen. Playground structures now are more expensive than homes in many instances, and that's just the truth. And there's no way that we can just simply purchase a home outright and then everything be there within the first year. No, we've got to build a living room and one bedroom kind of thing first, right? And that's the way that this is going to be done with our playground. It's going to be done in phases. So when you support PTO, you're supporting and donating for the academic needs that our school has. And if there are corporations, and we really want corporate sponsors, if you work for a huge corporation that really wants to invest in a school and support inclusivity for every kid to access a playground, then this is the project for you and for your corporation. We would love to have corporate sponsors. We have been applying for grants and we have been denied a number of grants. But we've also had a few that have come through and that we're grateful for. But I want everyone to know that there's no way we can afford everyone's playground at a $600,000 price tag in one fell swoop. It is literally over years. So that is important for us to know. But our main goal has to be on our academic strategic planning, the day-to-day, the year-to-year, and that's how we will continue to be successful through PTO donations. So please continue to support us, and we greatly appreciate it. From a principal's report, I'm doing so much talking today. Again, back to school night tomorrow, coffee talk in the morning. Just a heads up, in September, I want to say it's the 27th, we will have a fun run that is booster sponsored, but in a completely different way. I'm going to make sure that I understand all the ins and outs, but we are not going to be giving them a huge percentage the way that we have done in the past, where it relates to, like, if you raise this much money, then they will get this percentage of the funds that are raised. It is honestly a completely different approach that Booster is bringing on. where we pay a one-time flat fee. They will do a fun run pep rally. They will set up the fun run. They will not be sending people throughout the week and going to classes, which our teachers are completely fine. And we are not going the route of toys and prizes that I know our parents out there just absolutely loved each and every day that a kid wanted those moon boots. But we're not going to do that anymore because it kind of defeats the purpose. And we want our kids to focus on supporting our media center with added books in our collection, and then continued support of our playground to add more shade structures or more playground equipment. Again, adding to the phases, but not doing everything in one fell swoop. So yeah, just putting that out there. What else? Oh, Melissa, would you be so kind as to mention, I think Dr. Johnson is coming to VHE.
Yes, Dr. Johnson is coming Tuesday night at 6 p.m. for just a community-led sort of conversation with the Midtown cluster. We did those twice last year with Dr. Battle, and it was some really great conversation. So if anybody's able to make it, I would highly recommend it. And I think it'll be great to kind of hear from him.
Say the time and date one more time for us.
It's Tuesday at 6.
Cafeteria, right?
Yes, cafeteria.
All right. So yeah, Dr. Johnson, really have appreciated his leadership, and he's being very thoughtful, and he worked along well with Dr. Battle, and I know they had some great conversations, and and he's going to start making some moves and doing some things that that he feels in the best interest of our district. So really excited for him to be here, and that would be the second time that he's already been here, which I think is great. And he's already visited a lot of different schools, so really nice to have him come out. Our schools want him to be there, and I know our principals want him to be a part too. So really excited about that. All right, I have no emails from public comment, but that's all I've got, Rebecca. So I'm gonna throw this back in your hands.
Well, great. Did anyone have any questions or comments before we adjourn?
I have two quickie comments, if you don't mind. First off, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Diane Jacoby. I'm with the school governance. I'm school governance liaison, and I'm just here to help. Two quick things. Dr. Johnson does have his 100-day plan out there, including a survey. The listening sessions for September have just been posted. The ones that the district's hosting, we will be getting that out to all of you through email as soon as I can get a breath. We have like 30 meetings this week and another 30 next. So I promise I'll get to you. If you haven't been seeing our emails, we do send through MailChimp, so please check spam, junk, promotions, that kind of thing. So look for Dr. Johnson's survey. The second thing is that we are planning our G3 summit again. The G3 is for Go, Grow, Govern. And right now we are hoping for Saturday, September 28th. But as soon as we secure a location, we will be sending out save the dates. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Diane. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. All right. Well, the time's 7:19, and we can mark that as us adjourning. Thanks. Thank you for all you did to prepare, Principal Harness.
All right, no problem.
Take
Bye,
care.
guys. Good to
Bye,
see
everyone.
you.
Bye,